Hello, it's me Shadrach here. So today we are continuing with our lessons on the IELTS writing task 1. So before I continue with what I have for you today, I want you to wait patiently and wait for me. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back. Thanks very much. And as I've been saying, I want you to continue to subscribe. If you have not subscribed, if it is today is the first time you are watching, I want you to actually to subscribe and then like and share. I want you to share with all those your friends who are preparing to write the test, and I want you to practice and practice and practice. There are several videos. When you click on my channel name, you see many videos there. I want you to watch all of them and practice and practice and practice. That is what will actually help you to master the test. So thanks very much. And today we are continuing with the IELTS writing task 1, and today I'm going to lecture on process questions. All right, so what are process questions and what does it all entail? So this is a bit different, and first of all, we'll look at the objectives for today's lecture. The first objective is that you understand process diagrams, and then 2, you learn the language for reporting process essays, and then 3, you learn the process essay structure, and 4, you'll be able to write process questions. So it is important that as I teach you today, this is my objective, that we achieve all these, and then I want you to also make it as a point to make sure that these are achieved. That ultimately you are able to answer process questions effectively. Great. So we'll continue with the what do you call it? Process questions. So let's continue with the process and cycles. So for process and cycles, the process means that it is made up of stages. Usually processes do not repeat themselves, but cycles repeat themselves. And there are two main types of process and cycles, or there are two main types of these questions or these diagrams. And we have the natural process in the sense that they are natural events. They don't have any human intervention or human control, so they are occurring automatically. They are happening all the time. And then if you look at an examples of such natural events, for example, the formation of rain, photosynthesis, the life cycle of mosquito, the life cycle of an insect, these are all natural events. They are cycles. Then we have the artificial processes. For artificial processes, they are man-made processes, all right? And usually they do not repeat themselves. So you could also find an artificial process which repeats itself. Okay, man could produce a machine or something, a process designed specifically just to repeat itself. All right. So if you look at this diagram, you see cement production and concrete production. These are artificial processes, and these are processes, okay? They are linear processes, one way, okay? They don't repeat themselves. The second one, to store processes. These are all made up of, composed of stages. Yeah, stages involved and tools that are involved. Then you have the cycles, cyclical, all right? So if you look at this, there are various stages involved and keep repeating themselves, all right? Now, so for the process and cycles, for you to be able to write such type of essays, you need to understand the language. It's very important. So the first thing we look at is the grammar. So under grammar, we have the artificial process. So for if the graph is an artificial process or an artificial event, what you do is use the passive form of the verb to describe the event. Use the passive form of the verb to describe the event. So what do I mean by passive form? The passive form means that the human element is actually eliminated. Okay, so let's look at an example. For example, the cement is transported to the building by means of a truck. So we didn't say that somebody transported it. So the human aspect, the human factor is actually eliminated. So you don't add it to the description. Okay. So if, let's say, if there was a driver, there's definitely a driver will have to drive the truck and then transport it. But you don't say the driver drove the car and then transported it. No. So we said that we have to remove the human element, the human factor there. So we said that we are writing the passive form of that. So we said the cement is transported to the building by means of a truck. And then B, if the graph is a natural event, cyclical event that are occurring automatically, natural, then you use the active form of the verb. Use the active form of the verb. All right. So, example is that the leaf traps sunlight for photosynthesis. The leaf traps sunlight. Traps. So see, I've highlighted traps, and then I've also highlighted start. The larvae start maturing from week 2. The clouds are formed after evaporation of heat from the mountains. Okay, so why are we writing traps start are formed? This is that these are the active form of the verb, means that they are occurring all the time. So because they are occurring all the time, you have to use an active form of the verb. Okay. Then how do you describe ways, purpose and of event, or the various stages? The purpose. So if you look at this, what do you call the graphs above? Let's look at it quickly. Let's look at it quickly. So if you look at this graph, for instance, you see tools here. What are the purpose? And the language you are going to use to describe the purpose is what I'm talking about. Okay, so you see the tools here. What are the purpose? What will it be used for? And what are the methods or the ways? How will they be used? The methodology, the process, how, the ways. All right, these are all synonyms I've said. Now, this is a concrete mixer. And what will it be used for? What is the functionality? What is the purpose? Okay, so the language is what you're going to look at. All right, now, so under purposes, you see, if it is a tool or gadgets, for tools and gadgets, we use words like using, by means of, or through the use of. These words, all right, so these words is what you're using. For example, the electricity is transported to houses by means of, or through the means of. transmission cables. Any of these is correct. So electricity is transported to houses by means of or through the use of. So by means of or through the use of, it describes the purpose or describe how the electricity was transported. All right. Now, you can also look at methods and ways. So for tools like this gadget, okay, like crusher, how was it crash? How did it conduct the activity? How are you describing the action? So we say that the limestone and clay are crushed by means of the crusher or through the use of the crusher, okay, or are crushed in the crusher, whichever way is easier or appropriate. Okay, so we are going to talk about the methods and ways. So finish the tools or gadgets. Now you're on the methods and the ways. How? So we use via, by means of, or through. For example, the turbines are turned to trigger energy production by the use of or through fast moving water. So this, by the use of and through, they are talking about methods or ways. They are more or less similar to this, to the tools, to what we use to describe the tools. All right, how we use the tools. Okay, so we are talking about purpose in terms of the usage of tools and then the methods of usage of the tools. Okay, now having done that, we move on to the linking words. If you look at the graph has a beginning and where it is ending. Okay, cyclical processes like this one, like this life cycle of this animal, we see that, or this insect, we see it is cyclical. If I'm following the cursor, cyclical, you see, so it keeps repeating, but there's definitely a starting point and where it ends and continue. All right, so from the beginning of the stage, laying the eggs, where what linking phrases or words can we use to report that, and the middle stages, what linking words or phrases can we use that, and then the ending of the stages. So from beginning, the middle stages, and then the last stage is the bargain. What linking words can we use to report that? So you can use, from the initial stages, you can use words like first, firstly, in the first stage, at the beginning, in the first stage. The first stage is when the process starts with. So these are some few linking phrases that I've put together for you. You can search for more to your notes. The middle stages can use linking phrases or words like in the following stage, okay, so you're moving to the next, so in the following stage, after which, next, then, afterwards, following this. There are more. You can search for more, right? Then the final or the last stages. So that's where you use words like finally, eventually. The process ends with ultimately. The process ends when. These are a few linkers for you. Okay. Now, how about writing the overview? The overview in every writing task one essay, you're supposed to write an overview. It is like writing task 2 and writing a thesis statement. So here in writing task 1, it is a must, compulsory, that you write an overview. Now, to be able to write the overview, you must consider certain factors. Now, the first factor you have to consider is that what type of process is it? The type of process, very important. So the type of process, we have natural process, artificial process, or cycles, or linear process. Okay, So make sure you're able to diagnose well, know from the background statement given to you, study the nature of the graph well, and know whether it's a natural event that is repeating itself, or artificial event, or it's a cycle, the same as natural event, mostly in a natural event in a linear process, one way process. Then you look at the number of stages involved. Search for the number of stages that are involved. Some graphs might be easier. You might be lucky. It may be labeled for you. Some graphs too may not be labeled for you. So you have to actually determine the number of stages that are involved. So how many stages are involved? Then you should also capture the beginning and then the end. Where is the graph starting? Where is it ending? And then the labels of each stage. Pay attention to the labels. Okay, I'm not saying that report every label. I'm not, for example, like this one, you report every label. No, but what are the major steps that are involved? Just have a glance of the various stages or the labeling. Okay, the labeling will also give you a hint as to which stage, which part is actually a stage. All right, and we have to, you have to also be now put down some brief notes. So based on this guide, you can put brief notes down, and then that will help you to write the overview. But the labelings, you don't need necessarily have to bring every stage, but the major stages you can highlight them. All right, so don't take note of that. Then how will we write the essay? What is the structure of the essay? You can follow 3-paragraph structure or 4-paragraph structure, either 3-paragraph structure or 4-paragraph structure. If you are going to use 3-paragraph structure, you write the first paragraph should be the introduction. You first paraphrase the statement given to you, the statement that IELTS gave to you. You have to paraphrase that. That's the question. Then the second part of the introduction is going to be the overview. What you see at a glance. And that is what I have summarized here. That is what I have summarized here. All right. So what do you see at a glance? For example, this graph, what do you see at a glance? Or this one, what do you see at a glance? All right. Now, having done that, you have to actually go to the next paragraph, which is the body paragraph 1. And the body paragraph 1, before you be able to write body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2, you must group your data. Okay, group your data. Group your data. Group your data into 2 main parts. Group the data into 2 main parts. So how many stages are involved? The various stages, divide them into 2. Put the first group in paragraph 2 and then the next group in paragraph 3. All right. So for example, if we are lucky to have this one, cement production and concrete production, you can put cement production, you report that in paragraph 2 and then report concrete production in paragraph 3. If you have a cycle, when you find a cyclical process, then you have to count the number of steps involved or the various stages. Then you divide them by 2. If you have, let's say, 5 stages, then you can report 3 in the second paragraph and then 2 in the third paragraph. All right. So whichever way it will be easier for you to group your data, you do it. When you are following the 4-paragraph structure, that means that you're going to just paraphrase the background statement and then write the overview as a separate paragraph. That will be the only difference to make it a 4-paragraph structure. Now, having looked at the overview, the structure, the language, and all that. It is now time to practice what you have learned. You have to put what you have learned into practice, and that is the most crucial aspect that will result in you getting the band score that you want. So let's look at this graph. Let's look at this graph. You have cement production and concrete production. So when you find a graph like this, you have to read the background statement given. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to put the background statement for you. So this is the background statement, but the background statement, I've paraphrased it here. Sorry, it's here. Okay, so you have to read the background statement, make sure you understand. Then study the graph critically. How many stages are involved? Crashing, moving to this stage, mixing, then moving to this stage, heating. This is the heat source. Crashing again or grinding, become a smooth cement, and then bagging. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at 5 stages, we can say it's about 5 major stages. When you are describing the structures, you can describe the shape of the structures. For example, this is cylindrical. Okay, this is cylindrical. You see an arrow. It suggests it's a rotating heater. So it means that it rotates. Then when you come here, concrete production rather, there's a key here. It says gravel means small stones. Okay, they don't want you to use really more of terminologies. They want you to write English. All right, so it's not everybody who understands gravel. Okay, so and you look at the components of this concrete. We have gravel 50%, water, cement, and then sand. So when you are reporting, they expect you to, like something like sand, they expect you to write synonym of 25%. How will you report 25%? A quarter. Okay, gravel half, water tenth or 1/10, or 1 out of 10, or 1 out of every 10. All right, so 25% will be 1 out of every 4. Okay, or 1 out of 4, or a quarter. Okay, or 1/4. So it's like that. Now, having done those analysis, you have to ask yourself, or you have to put down some notes. So cement production is linear. It's a linear process. You see, this is a linear process, one-way process. It has about 5 main stages. It starts with grinding and ends with bagging. What are the main stages? You can note the main stages. I've talked about that already. And when it comes to the concrete production, the main tool is the concrete mixer. It has 4 materials used to make concrete, and then what is the main the concrete mixer? Look at what it's doing. It's rotating. Look at the direction of the arrow. Rotates. Then you have to group your data. Report cement production in paragraph 1, and then concrete production in paragraph 2. Now, because this is an artificial process, as we learned that when the graph is an artificial process, our tenses is we are going to have to use the passive form of the verb. So that's why I'm going to use the passive form of the verb. The passive form of the verb. Now, let's go to the sample answer. Let's put everything that we have learned together and see how we report this. So we are going to follow the structure, but here I'm going to use 4-paragraph structure, or you can also use 3-paragraph structure. That's okay. Now, we first paraphrase the statement given. So the first, unfortunately, I couldn't put the statement given. So, but I have paraphrased that. So the key principle is that paraphrase the statement given to you. So paraphrase the statement as the diagram illustrates. Illustrate means demonstrates, displays, okay, delineates, okay, compares. The diagram illustrates the steps and the tools utilized in manufacturing cement and the process through which cement is used to create concrete for the purposes of building. Paraphrased it. Now, the next step is to write the overview. The overview is what you see at a glance. What do you see at a glance? This is where I capture the main stages, where it is starting from, where it is ending. All right. So we start with overall. Overall. Do not write rehearsed answers. For example, overall, it is evident that almost every candidate is writing that. Do not write rehearsed answers. All right. So start overall is a good language. Overall, comma. Cement production comprises of several tools such as crusher, mixer, heater, grinder, and 5 main stages starting from crushing the limestone and clay to bagging the cement. While, so you see, we combine the overview for the cement production. When the graphs are two, you have to use subordinating conjunction to link the two. Okay, so you have one sentence. While, so it's a good language to compare and contrast, and actually it's also a linking structure, so you get marks under that, and the coherence and cohesion. So while concrete production uses one tool, that is the concrete mixer, and 4 materials, out of which the majority is gravel. One may ask, why didn't you list the materials there? I chose not to list the materials. Okay, so I don't want to be monotonous in my writing, my style of writing. So I want to introduce variety to my style of writing, because over there previously I listed the tools here, but here I decided not to, just to introduce variety to my style of writing, that I will report each of them once when I'm reporting in details. All right. So when you are writing the overview, you don't need to quote figures. You don't need to quote what do you call it? Yes, let me say quote figures. Do not quote figures. All right. But if it is within a particular period or year, you can do that, but do not quote figures. Now, so this is what we see at a glance. That's the overview. Then we are following the structure. So we have to come and then write the body paragraph 1. Report the first group of data here. So here we come and report the cement production. So this is a good language in terms of making cement. In terms of is a good language. In terms of making cement, the first stage is when the clay and the limestone are crushed into powder by means of the crusher, not crushers, the crusher, after which the powder is mixed uniformly by the mixer. Following this, the powder is heated in a cylindrical heater which has its heat source connected to the far end. As the heater rotates, the mixed powder is heated evenly to dry and is further ground into cement through the grinder, and finally bagged. So you see, it crushes to powder, they are mixed here, then further move down through a cylindrical tubing to the rotating heater, which turns and then heats up the mixed powder. All right, then because it has its source connected to the far end, okay, the heater is at the far end, and then after that they are ground in a grinder, then bagged. Okay, what's the purpose of the grinding? To convert it into what? Smooth cement. Then finally they are bagged. When it comes to the concrete production, let's see what also happens. So we have to come and refer to the concrete production. So say regarding the production of concrete. Regarding the production of concrete, the main equipment used is the concrete mixer, which rotates as the materials are put into it to form a concrete. So it forms a concrete. Then the concrete consists of cement 15%, then water a tenth, and then water a quarter of sand, and then 50% of gravel, which are small stones. Here you can also say half. All right. So gravel, which are small stones, and I picked this from here, small stones. I've explained what the gravels mean. All right. So you report this in a separate paragraph and then the other one in another paragraph. Now let's pay attention to some key language or key words used there. Use words like overall. Overall. Overall is a good language. Okay. To report or to indicate the overview, to tell the examiner that this is my overview. Then while, okay, subordinating conjunction to actually put the two overviews for two graphs together. Then in terms of is also a good language. Then the linking words like the first stage is when. The first stage is when, to indicate the beginning of the process. Then at the middle stages, we use linking phrase following this. Following this. You don't have to overuse the linking phrases. Then come to regarding the production of concrete. You see. So after this, I did not use any linking phrase again because I don't want to overuse them. All right. So guys, this is the end of the lecture, and I want you to actually put your questions if you have any in the comment section, and then I will answer your questions. So all right. So thanks very much for your time, and then I want you to continue to share this broadcast. Continue to share, and then for others so that it reaches others, and tell others to watch as well, and practice and practice and practice yourself. So thanks very much for your time.